What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the fourth KTSW chat. As you can see, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, it's just me and Connor. Deshaun is spending time with his family, but he'll be on tomorrow. He'll be on a Zoom call, so y'all get your Deshaun Hartley fix tomorrow on the JTM. And then fortunately, Josh Orozco isn't with us because he's actually writing an article for KTSW right now on the news that we're about to discuss. But I've got a little bit of a busy week later, so I need to get into the episode, and we have to talk about this huge hire for San Marcos High School football. You know, we already went through the whole pinchback situation, and he's staying. And now we have San Marcos High School's head football coach announced. And this was a pretty big hire, Connor. We don't know too much about it just off the bat, but as soon as we heard his name and now we've looked into it, we're like, okay, holy crap.
Yeah, I think when I first heard the news, I didn't know the name didn't ring a bell. In all honesty, because I'm not familiar with Texas State sports when it comes to the high school realm of it all. But when you dive into his records and accolades, at I have to look it up because
Denton Guyer.
Denton Guyer, and you look at all the records he has. He had a 70% winning percentage at his time at Denton Guyer. He was the only head coach ever at Denton Guyer when he first came, which is amazing. The fact that he turned a program around so early on and built upon it, and you can get down to the accolades. It's amazing to see what he's done. 4 state title appearances, 2 state title wins. I mean, he had 8 seasons out of the 14 where he had more than 10 wins. It's absolutely impressive.
For sure, Connor. And I didn't mention Amanda. This is just that's like the worst thing that a boyfriend can do is not mention your girlfriend. And I just realized she is going to bed early because she has work early tomorrow. Or she's not even going to bed early. 10:30 is not early. It's just we're crazy and we're in college. So 10:30 is not early for us. But she's going to work out and go to work in the morning. So she is going to bed right now. So that's another reason why we don't have the whole crew with us. So it's just me and Connor, but we're going to knock this thing out and we're going to do our best. But yeah, going back to John Walsh, new head coach of the San Marcos Rattler football team. So Matt Stepp, who is the biggest, most prominent Texas high school football reporter for Dave Campbell's Texas Football, in the article he wrote on this, which I would like to say just came out of nowhere, that was written. He already knew about this. That man has sources we need, but we don't have. I mean, the title, or not, it's not the title of the article, but the underlying title, the subtitle, I guess you could say, says Texas high school football coaching legend. That's how this man describes him. And this dude's one of the most well-versed people in all of Texas high school football. Like I said, he's the top reporter. He's like the Woj of Texas high school football. And I'm not even kidding with that. And he's considering this dude a legend. Just to talk about it a little bit more, where was where was John Walsh's last game, Connor? What game was he playing in the last time he coached a high school football game? Could you remind me of that?
John Walsh?
Yes. I told you this earlier, Brett. Man, the last game that this man coached in was the 6A state title this year against Westlake.
Yes, I thought you were talking about what the stadium was. I was like, dude, I don't even know what stadium.
It would be the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, Connor.
Yeah,
I don't know your Texas high school football. Jeez,
I don't know my Texas state.
I bring you on this podcast and you don't even know what you're talking about. I'm just playing. Thank you for being here.
You keep talking this high energy. We'll see about this later on. All right.
You're like, I can leave you alone in this podcast. You have nobody else but me. I'm doing this for you. No, but yeah, man, what a hire. I mean, I know you've talked a little bit about your numbers. You mentioned the 70% winning percentage, 131 wins, 56 losses. 70% winning percentage, 2 state titles, 4 appearances. So I think there's a theme at San Marcos High School under Denisha Presley, and that's bring in people with rings.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned, Jew, is that he went 1-19 in his first couple seasons
Yes,
as a head
yes.
coach, and
First two.
he was able to turn that completely around, where you're making four state title appearances, and the fact that you bring in a winning coach into a program that needs some winning when it comes to football, and you have coaches now. When you look at Coach Napoli, Coach Pinchback, and now you have Coach Walsh there that all have state title rings. You got to be kidding me. That's something that these young kids will look up to and say, this guy knows how to win, so I'm going to listen to him. And that's what you need. And I was watching videos on him before we came onto the podcast. He's all about physicality. It's all about mental toughness when it comes to him. And I can't wait to see what he's going to do with this team because, as we mentioned, Jude, when we talked with Coach Soto, who moved on from San Marcos to go to Johnson in San Antonio, he talked about how this team is about using their head and using their speed and quickness. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Walsh does coming into this program and how he's going to use what he's learned over the years to kind of teach this young program. But I mean, we'll get into this, but it's a huge, huge win for San Marcos High School.
That's for sure, Connor. I think it is going to be super interesting. But the thing is, Connor, and I think that Coach Walsh knows this, while the Rattlers over the past 2 years have had to rely on that, they've got a lot of young talent coming in that are like very talented young players. We've said this a couple times on the show, but just to remind people, if you don't know, the freshman team this year, which played the same schedule as the varsity team, so that's Judson, that's Clemens, that's Steele, that's Smithson Valley, right? Those powerhouses, they went 8-1. So, and Isaiah De Leon, who is most likely going to be the starting quarterback next year, who I'm sure Coach Walsh is ecstatic about, can throw the ball 60 to 70 yards. And he's been out there with his Rattler mask on, going and working on football at an Alamo City QB camp with social distancing. So this dude is still finding a way to put in work during a pandemic. Like we've talked about Isaiah before, he's one of the Fab Four now he's a Fab Four sophomore, not a freshman anymore, but was on the varsity basketball team too. So, I mean, he's an athlete, multiple sport. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other players that I know. I haven't really, I don't know the name of this kid, unfortunately. So whoever you are, you're going to be good. And I want to give you recognition, but I don't remember. But I remember Coach Soto, whenever I first talked to him at believe it or not, it was at Texas State's first scrimmage in the fall back in August. And he was showing us freshmen, 6'2", 185-pound freshman who plays linebacker. I don't know his name, unfortunately, but point is there are a lot of young athletes on this San Marcos High School football team that have size, which is something that they lacked the past 2 years. And of course, that's no fault of any of those players. I remember Coach Robledo, who's the offensive line coach for the San Marcos Rattlers, told me when we first came in there, he's like, you went to Hayes, so you know how this goes. We just get the players that we get, and they're all great kids. And that's our favorite part about this job is working with them. And that's one of the things that Coach Walsh said in this Dave Campbell's Texas football article. He said, I'm trying to find it exactly, but he said his favorite part about coaching is building relationships with kids. And that's one of the things that will be continued over from Coach Soto. So I think he's going to fit with the culture and the things that are up on the wall in the facilities that are already there. And he also said that he was definitely going to hit up Coach Soto as well to learn about the kids. Here's the exact quote. My biggest thing is building relationships, getting to know the kids. That's the core of our program. I can watch film and see what they can do, but our staff needs to build the trust with the kids first and foremost. I definitely plan to get in touch with Coach Soto. He did a great job there, so I'm definitely going to try to get a cheat sheet from him as well. I'm like, hey, Coach, you can get a cheat sheet from KTSW Sports. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you got to know who these kids are, and it's the fact that he's reaching out this early, right when you just got hired, and you have an article coming out saying, hey, I really want to get to know who these kids are and how they operate. That's a really good sign as a coach because, look, coach, you're supposed to keep the order in line, but knowing these kids and who they are, what their background is extremely important to be able to teach these young men because everyone's different. And so being able to adjust your playbook in a sense to each player is going to really help you down the line and really help you as a coach.
I totally agree, Connor. Now, I think another player that Coach Walsh is definitely going to be excited to work for, or work with, not work for, but well, I guess I think Coach Walsh would say he'd be working for the kids. Don't you think, Connor?
I mean, yeah, it's a two-way relationship. It's not just a one-way relationship. It takes two to tango, as they say.
Exactly. I don't think they're tangoing on the football field. I think they're just hitting each other. But
Hey,
I
I was just trying to be colorful with my language.
no, but I think that he's going to be really excited to work with Cannon Webb because his smarts as well as his athletic ability,
Mhm.
I think that that's something that Coach Walsh is going to be super blessed to have in his first year. He's going to have Caduce as well, the cornerback. I mean, those obviously there's a lot of other talented players on that defense. I feel like I've mentioned Cannon and Caduce so much on the show. The rest of the defense needs some love too, but those are just, two prominent leaders on the football team and within the school. You see them out at other athletic events as well. But I think that those are two guys, and especially Cannon, with him being the defensive coordinator on the field, that's something that he's definitely gonna really like working with, or him. No, I said that's something. Cannon's not a something; he's a person. But he's definitely going to be excited to work with him and probably work with his dad too, Brian Webb being the defensive coordinator. I don't know if he's still going to be the defensive coordinator as the year comes, but I would assume that he probably will. Another thing that I need to learn, and I don't think you know this either, Connor. I don't know if necessarily Coach Walsh is an offensive coach or a defensive coach, but we definitely know he's a culture builder and a team builder.
Yeah, I don't really know either what his stats are when it came to what he done, but I was listening to a video in May 2018 before the 2019 season, and they talked about the running game quite a bit and the offensive line and being physical. Those are some of the themes that I took away from the video, besides the Coach Walsh's good mic skills that he has. There's a few good moments we'll kind of dive
Yeah.
into, but things of like that physicality, mental toughness, the running game. It seems that he adapts to what the team does best, which makes the coach even more dangerous. But of course, he has his own signature. I'm not 100% what that is yet. I was trying to read articles before this to see what he was going to do in regards to what is his themes, what he used to do, but nothing really that stood out right away. I'm sure when we look at the numbers and read more articles, we'll kind of have an understanding of what he is all about when it comes to a scheme standpoint. But for now, I just think it's a huge win, as we've kind of been talking about.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely have to watch some of the highlights from the state championship this year just to see what kind of formations they run and whatnot. It'll be interesting to see. They may still run the same offense. I don't know if Coach Sierra is still going to be there. I'm assuming that they're going to keep most of the staff that they already have there, just from what it looks like. But he'll just it'll be like plug and play, but it'll be him instead of Coach Soto because they seem very similar in the way that they want to build culture in a program. And one of the reasons that I think the staff is going to say the same is because they're all on that same page, and so is the administration and Coach Walsh. Because as it also says in this Texas high school football article, the administration. This is what Coach Walsh said: the administration at SMCISD is phenomenal, and that was the nail in the coffin for us. It totally sold me. Their vision and my vision are aligned. The superintendent Michael Cardona wants the Rattlers to be top-notch in every aspect, from academics to athletics. And the high school principal, Denisha Presley, is an outstanding campus leader. Both me and Mrs. Presley are from the big country, so we speak the same language. But I think that's huge because I think that definitely Coach Soto and Miss Presley and the administration were aligned as well. And so the fact that he has that same vision, I think that's going to be really helpful and make the transition very smooth. On top of the fact that, once again, this dude has championship experience.
Yeah, I think a one aspect, because I was reading an article after he resigned from Denton Guyer talking about the hundreds and hundreds of students that he's coached, and 80 of those students that he's coached got D1 offers, which is a really huge aspect because not only is that coaching, but that's also furthering the education of these students, which is another beneficial aspect of this hire, is that you get more eyes on San Marcos, which means more scouts will come and try to watch these kids play. That's really exciting news because at the end of the day, this is all about getting names out there for the San Marcos community and seeing what KTSW brand and other sports brand around there that try to help promote these kids are getting opportunity to go to college. And that's a big, big, big thing for this high school.
I 100% agree, Connor. And that's another thing I meant to mention earlier when I was talking about Cannon. Cannon right now is one of the top defensive backs in the Austin, San Antonio area. San Marcos is in between those two, obviously.
It's close enough, man.
Yeah, yeah. And this is going to be huge for him, I think, in getting some exposure. I think a lot more people are going to be watching San Marcos. And like I said, it takes time to build. But in his third season, whenever he was at Denton Guyer, I believe he ended up getting 12 wins in that third season after going 1-19 in the first two. So there's obviously going to be some building years. But, dude, I mean, I did not think I was going to be saying this when we talked about it, before in one of the other KTSW chats. But, I mean, I think right now, Westlake and Lake Travis, their coaches, not the players, but their coaches are probably like, oh, wow. That is somebody I was not expecting to be in my district next year.
Yeah, whenever you hear things like legend in Texas, it's a huge, because Texas for years, I mean, anyone who's been in Texas knows for years, I mean, decades, Texas has been known as the powerhouse for high school football. And to be called a legend in these areas is a big deal, because you can look at the history. Not a lot of people are called legends in high school football. The fact that you're getting that status already when you're relatively young in your coaching career, I mean, 14 seasons, that's a lot of seasons, but you still got a lot more time left. And that's really big praise to get. And when you get that type of train rolling, and the fact that he knows how to build, which is a huge aspect of what I think San Marcos has been missing, has just been building and getting the right talent to come aboard. That's a huge, I've been saying win so much, but it just feels like a win. Yeah, it's really, I don't really know much to say. It just feels like a really big win right now. I'm sure once we get more information, we'll be able to dive into it more, but just immediate off the cuff, it's extraordinary. I didn't expect this to happen. I'm here. We talked with Coach Pinchback.
He was telling us off camera. He was telling us off camera, man. And, I was like, this seems like, I was talking to Amanda about it earlier. She's like, he probably knows like 2 candidates. I was like, I don't know though. It feels like, I was like, you're probably right. I was like, but I think that the way he was talking to us, he felt like he knew who it was going to be. And he knew who it was going to be. And he's from Dallas, Fort Worth, where Denton Guyer and DeSoto would play. So I think hey, Coach, now that I think about it, they might actually know each other. And I don't know if he played any part in this, but what I do know is that Coach Pinchback did have some time on the DeSoto football team. And they play Denton Guyer regularly, I think, or at least they're in the same area. So a lot of times, I don't know for a fact, but I know it's in that Dallas-Fort Worth area. Denton's obviously a little bit more north, but he definitely knew who he was. So I don't know if they had any past connections, but you've got a great head football coach and a great head basketball coach at San Marcos High School. But you mentioned earlier, Connor, a little bit about just San Marcos and Coach Walsh and why he wanted to come here. And here's what he said in that Dave Campbell's Texas football article. Being in Dallas-Fort Worth, I didn't know a ton about the program at San Marcos High other than the stuff you see on Twitter. I know they had a real good season in 2017 under Coach Soto. When you peel back the layers, the first thing is it's a place my family and I will enjoy living. It definitely checks that box. The resources, which I want to dive into a little bit with you, Connor, in a second, are in place to build a quality programs. Their facilities are top-notch, and there's great functionality. When they designed the facilities, a lot of thought was put into it. And, of course, it's a one-horse town, and that's always a major plus.
Yeah, I mean, Jude, we've talked about this numerous times on the podcast about the facilities being top-notch. You could argue maybe in the state of Texas, the fact they have indoor facilities. They have a football stadium that's sponsored by Toyota. Who wouldn't want to play there? I know I would. Frankly, yeah. I wish I had a high school like that.
I looked it up. It's an $18 million stadium. And shout out to Coach Soto for that, because he got that done.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about one of the reasons Coach Walsh wanted to come here. He was talking about his family and the statement that was released on Twitter by San Marcos High School. And I know that he said that one of his sons,
JW Walsh, he played at Oklahoma State and I think a little bit in the NFL, and now he's an offensive analyst at UT. So he's going to be close to his son in that aspect as well.
Yeah, and he said he has 3 children, Maggie, Samantha, JW, and Maggie will be a junior at San Marcos High School.
Oh, wow. Oh, and I think I don't know this for a fact, but I think she's a really good volleyball player. And Matt Stepp tweeted about that and said San Marcos High School's head volleyball coach is super happy right now because they just got a really good volleyball player. I don't know for a fact if that's what he's referring to, but I'm assuming when you got those athlete genes in your family, that's got to be who he was referring to. What's her name again?
Maggie Walsh.
Let me just Google this right now to see. Yeah, that has to be what he's talking about. There's no way. Let me see here. Yeah. She's a monster. All right. So shout out to Coach Moreno of the San Marcos High School volleyball team because this brought a lot. Man, Tanisha Presley knows what she's doing. That's what I gotta say. This helped the athletic program in more ways than one.
Yeah, I know, and it's been really convenient because he gets to be close to the son, and I know his daughter Samantha is going to be a junior at University of Arkansas, which is a little bit far away. But I mean, he's close with his 2 children here in the Austin area. It's a big thing for family, and it's, as you mentioned, the fact that you got a stud volleyball player, Maggie Walsh, coming in. Man, this San Marcos Rattler volleyball team gonna be looking good. Huh? I'm excited,
dude. But what also I forgot to say earlier. So Todd Dodge, who's the head coach of Westlake, that's who Denton Guyer played in the state championship this year. They played at Westlake, right? So Todd Dodge, I don't think he was expecting for the coach he was coaching against in the state championship was gonna be in his district next year.
Yeah, and I don't know what the score of that game was.
It was 24-0.
Okay.
But Westlake's always a powerhouse. But I think in the past, Guyer has beaten Westlake and Lake Travis in the state championship because it's usually them against somebody else. I'll look that up for a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think that they have.
I just realized something funny, which is relevant, but also not because I'm just kind of talking about
Keep talking, brother.
So 2012, 2013, they won back-to-back state championships. It's also the same 2 years the Miami Heat won back-to-back NBA championships.
Well, not in 2014. What'd you say?
No, 2012, 2013.
Okay. All right.
I know my basketball chill. I know the Spurs won 2014. I was devastated. It was a slaughtering because of Danny Green, Patty Mills, I know, and Kawhi Leonard, of course. Well, we don't talk about that. But no, it's actually huge because when you peel it back the layers to this, there's a lot that San Marcos is getting out of this.
For sure. And I just wanted to mention this as well. Another thing he said that he's super excited about at San Marcos is, I'm just going to read this whole thing from the Texas Football. Shout out to Matt Stepp for doing this article. Despite all the success Walsh had at Guyer, it's easy to forget that it was a total build from the ground up. But Walsh remembers, and that's why he's excited to get started at San Marcos. San Marcos is a place that I think my skill set of being a builder can really be utilized, Walsh said. When I was an assistant at Brownwood, he was an offensive coordinator there before he went to Denton Guyer. Mm-hmm. It was a building job, and of course, Guyer was a brand new school. I wasn't looking for a powerhouse program to take over. I wanted to build a program. It's an exciting challenge that gets me fired up. I can't wait to get started. My mind is already racing. I'm getting back to 2005 and all those feelings I had when starting up at Guyer. The difference is now I already have a roadmap, and back then I didn't have one. Dude, that gave me chills reading it. Oh, this is going to be crazy.
I told you, Jude, he's got mic skills. I'm telling you. I'll get into this because Matt Stepp, as we talked about, he did an interview back in May of 2018. I watched the video before. So I was just curious what to see Coach Walsh is like, what his personality is. And he was talking about one of the coach at Lakeview, I think, if I remember correctly, talking about a certain coach because he called Coach Walsh out, saying that he isn't a real Texan. And I'm paraphrasing what he said because he made fun of him for eating a salad. And so John Walsh is like, well, I usually eat depending on what I'm going to go for. So if we're going for a big team like Allen, I'm going to be eating steak, burritos, Mexican
Oh my
restaurants.
gosh.
But if I'm going to be playing against, smaller teams, I'll eat like a salad. And he was kind of just throwing shots at Lakeview High School, basically saying I eat salads because you guys aren't. But it was really interesting to see that side of him, because it's nice to see friendly trash talk with coaches. I don't really see that much in high school, but when you get that type of attitude, I like it. I like the little bit of spiciness coming out of a coach. I like that little fire, kind of go after the coach a little bit. I mean, of course they're having fun and they know each other. I'm sure they have a mutual respect, but when you're competitive, it's okay to take a few shots.
That's for sure, Connor. So right now, and you got to love that personality. And
Yeah.
I can't, for us working at KTSW, that's going to make for some good sound bites. And I'm so excited that obviously he's not just a soundbite to us. He's more than that. If he ever listens to this, he's probably going to be like,
rewind the tape, people.
Yeah.
Rewind the tape and hear what Jude just said.
Yeah.
No, it's not. He's lying.
But anyways, Coach Pinchback said he was going to take us into the office and introduce us. So, I mean, I'm super excited to see that happen, man. And just to get to meet him and to talk about what we do. I bet you, I don't know for a fact, but I know that he probably doesn't even realize that San Marcos also has this, or maybe he does, and that was one of the reasons why he wanted to come here. But I'm making this all about us.
It's all about us, baby. All about putting us on the map.
Oh my gosh. But man, just like we said, what a hire. They consistently played Allen. So I'm looking at some of their schedules in the past and some of the teams that they played. So whenever you play Allen, consistently in the Kyler Murray years. So, oh my gosh, you know what I just realized? Because Coach Knapp was at Allen then. Oh, dude, they had something to do with this, and they didn't want to tell us.
That does make sense. Yeah, now that you think about it, I'm coming to a realization that I've had a few times in my life. We won't get into that, but yeah, yes. You're right. Actually, there's so much. There's so many. I told you there's so many layers to this, because nothing just happens without, there's a reason why this happened. There's no coincidence that they don't have the connection of DeSoto and the connection to Allen with Coach Knapp and Coach Pinchback respectively. And Jude, I know you touched on this before we kind of move on about the sound bites, as you kind of joked about, but I would love to give head coach Pinchback and head coach Walsh in a room together. I want to see what that magic brings, because I feel those two in a room together, they're going to do some damage to other high schools just with their personality and what they bring to the football and basketball programs respectively.
Yeah, that having all three of them in a room together seems like a fun time.
And Coach Napley. I forgot to mention him. Sorry, Coach Knapp. Coach Napley.
So I'm looking on here, and it doesn't look like they've played any. They might have played them in the playoffs. I haven't looked at the total brackets, but it doesn't look like they played Westlake and those type of schools very often. It was 2019. Okay. So I was wrong about that, but they have played Steele in the past in the playoffs, and they've, one of their games they lost in the semifinals was a 3-point loss in triple overtime. So there's been multiple other times where they were able to get to the state championship under Coach Walsh. But I think the most important thing is that he took Denton Guyer, a brand new school, right, and built them into a powerhouse. And that wasn't even his intention. So, and that's what San Marcos High School needs after, the 2017 season where they went 10-2, had a lot of kids graduate, and now they're looking to just build a culture. And with the facilities that they have, Connor, I mentioned this earlier. I want to get into that when I talked about the resources, but this has the potential to be a powerhouse program. Like Coach Pinchback said in our podcast then, San Marcos is waiting to explode. And I think that is completely right. And, maybe what we should try to do at KTSW, because I know that Coach Soto is friends with Coach Spavital, is somehow get a sit down with Coach Spavital and Coach Walsh. Because I guarantee you, Coach Spavital, Jake Spavital right now is somewhere out there holy moly, I might definitely have to start recruiting San Marcos High School now.
I would have said to keep that out of the DL, not put that out on the podcast.
Well, you know,
it's a great idea.
this is my show, Connor. I say what I want.
Hey,
like Lil Uzi.
I do what I want.
Anyways, let's ignore that.
All I could think of was in that situation is the Game of Zones, so they make fun of Game of Thrones, where it shows after Kevin Durant leaves and it shows Russell Westbrook panned over to him and he has a cupcake and goes, I do what I want. I'm a bit of a nerd, so that I'm apologize to the listeners that came out.
That's great.
But I had a Mark Brown moment.
Speaking of Mark Brown, he'll be on the show tomorrow. But it won't be released until Thursday. I'm going to try to get up ASAP. I had another thing I wanted to say. It's escaping me. Oh, how attractive and how influential do you think these facilities were to Coach Walsh?
I think they were immensely huge. I know I've mentioned it, that it's a huge, that's already taken care of. If you're worried
they have one of the best facilities in Texas.
Yeah, that's not even a concern when it comes, that's just a bonus check mark. You're just like, oh yeah, they have a great facility. That's no problem. I said, I always talked about, it's just getting a culture in to really bring this community up. And that's the only thing they've been missing. And that's one of the biggest things I've been talking about. We've been talking about in the podcast and just in general is they've been looking for that culture changer. And this is it. If you're telling me, if you had a list of high school coaches and be like, hey, which one do you want? This Coach Walsh should be up there. Probably be top 5 pick. I don't know Texas State high school coaches, but top 5, top 3.
Yep. So another thing, earlier I said, I don't think it was in the title of the article. It was Dave Campbell's Texas football. Legendary Texas high school football coach John Walsh has a new head coaching gig. Here's where he's headed. Yeah, dude. Pinchback was not – he never lies. That man has not lied since we've met him. So I can't believe – this is crazy. The more – and I'm seeing on Twitter, there's a bunch of people who are super into Texas high school football, and they're like, WTF, what? I mean, I can't wait to meet him. I can't wait to talk to him. I pray to the good Lord above that we have a football season this year because – gosh, we need it with this.
And also, there's another connection, and I don't know if you picked on it. He was from Denton Guyer High School, and your girlfriend's name is Amanda Guyer. Oh, but he resigned.
But it's with the U. But it's with the U. But it's not with the E.
It sounds the same, though. It sounds the same.
All right, Connor. You're making me look bad.
Hopefully, you don't resign from Amanda Guyer, but
I'm weak. I'm weak. She won't listen. She won't listen. She's not gonna. She won't hear this. She doesn't listen.
This needs to be the clip you upload.
Dude,
on Instagram.
I'm gonna upload it and I'm just gonna send it to her and I'm just gonna send it to her and I'm gonna be like, hey, I sent this to you and I uploaded this clip because I knew you wouldn't listen to the podcast, but I wanted you to see it because you wouldn't listen this far. If y'all didn't catch up on this, we've been making jokes about this since the Eagles episode we did because we were making some inside jokes where we said all you got to do is press play. And this is what we were referring to if you didn't get that then. But, man, what a hire for San Marcos High School. I mean, yeah, I'm going to – in one final thing, I think we're going to wrap things up here because I think we've really said as much as we can say with what we know right now. Maybe one day he'll be on the JTM. That would be super cool. We'll see. I feel like Pinch can get us that. I feel like it can happen.
Again, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It'll be reasonable. And hey, maybe it could be sooner than later because that would be a ton of fun if we could get him on here and just introduce him to all of us. And we could be like, hey, what's up? We'll tell you about some of the players. So look out for that. We're going to make that happen for sure. But here's just the opening article because I think this really speaks volumes, or the opening intro to the article. In what may be the final big splash of the 2020 offseason coaching carousel, San Marcos sent shockwaves through the state Monday night, naming former Denton Guyer head coach John Walsh as the Rattlers' next head football coach and athletic director. Walsh replaces Mark Soto, who resigned last month after 8 seasons to take over at San Antonio Johnson. Walsh, who resigned his post at Guyer in March, built the powerful Wildcats program from the ground up, taking the school to a pair of state titles, 2 more title game appearances, and rolling up an impressive 132-55 record from 2006 to 2019. In Walsh's first 2 seasons, Guyer was a combined 1 of 19 as the school struggled in its first 2 years as a varsity program. In the third year in 2008, Guyer broke out with a 12-3 mark and a trip to the state semifinals, and the program took off from there. The Wildcats have made the playoffs in every season since 2008.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I mean, what else can you say? We've been talking about this the whole time is he's a winner. He's a true winner. And 8 out of the 14 seasons he's been in, he's been winning consistently. And that's what you need. 4 state title appearances is no coincidence. It's real, and the hype is real. I believe Coach John Walsh will change San Marcos. And if you're listening to the San Marcos community, if you're listening to this, you just got real. You just got real. It's listen.
Yeah.
You can't put the words into it, but I don't really have any, I can't find the words to properly describe how big this is.
Here's all I'm going to say. So we're looking at the schedule, right? And even before we even knew who the coach was, I was like, basically every game except for Westlake and Lake Travis is winnable. Now those games are very, very winnable. I mean, I thought they were winnable before, but I mean, I know that those kids loved Coach Soto and they were devastated with his departure. But I mean, those kids are getting rewarded because I love Coach Soto to death, but this is objectively an upgrade.
Yeah, you can't argue that.
As Coach 2 state Soto titles, dog.
Look.
And he's got the same culture. Like, he has that same envisionment. He mentioned it in here. I mean, obviously talk is talk, but his track record shows. And that's the other thing I was going to say. A lot of times with these coaches, man, you know, like big hires like this, they've taken a couple years off. You know what I'm saying? So they have to get back in the swing of things. This man was in the state title this January.
Yeah.
Playing Westlake, you know, and now he's in their district. I'm telling you, this is huge. This is huge.
Listen, Coach Pinchback, he's been talking about building a monster since he's been there. And his accolades show that he's capable of doing it. And you look at John Walsh, his accolades show he's going to do it. You don't really question that. And, of course, the accolades look good, but it's about putting the results up. And that's going to take some time. Is he going to immediately change the program in one day? No, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take some time, but you're going to see the impact on that community. And it's very exciting.
I don't want to jinx anything, but there's 4 playoff spots.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a great, like a really, really good shot. Because we've talked about how this district, it's a little bit easier than the past district. Obviously, you've got powerhouses in Westlake and Lake Travis, but it's very top heavy. After that, it's a steep drop off. Yeah, you've got Hayes, who will run the slot T and will play really well consistently. But with this dude, Pinchbacks, they're building a monster in San Marcos. I think what we didn't realize when he told us that, and he kept telling us this whole time, is it was the entire athletic program.
Yeah. Not that I feel duped, but I feel like I was taken on a ride and I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I am enjoying the ride so far.
Me too. And I wanted to say another thing as just kind of some last words. You know, we talk about Coach Pinchback so much, and we talk about what Coach Soto did. But I think the real MVPs in this decision, it was 2 people that he mentioned, Superintendent Michael Cardona and Denisha Presley as the principal. Because, I mean, those are 2 people he specifically mentioned as people that influenced him a lot in this decision. Miss Presley also brought over Coach Pinchback. I'm sure Michael Cardona was probably influential to Pinchback as well. So those are some real MVPs that don't get the credit they deserve. And there's a lot of other great things going on at San Marcos High School as well. I learned, and just the district as a whole, you know, I learned whenever we were talking about, I'm losing my train of thought here. They were talking about it in the board meeting where I mean, they have gear up programs, which like I forget exactly now. I'm forgetting exactly what they do, but they do. There's a ton of stuff that the Rattlers do in the community to get the community involved. And there's a ton of scholarship opportunities that they build to give out to students. This past Friday, they had a scholarship award ceremony that the high school gives to certain students based on what they did throughout the year for the seniors. I mean, there's a ton of great things that this school does. Oh, this is what it was. So they are providing for, families in San Marcos that may have food insecurity. They provide food to those children, as well as Wi-Fi access and electronic devices so they can still learn during this time. Point is, this is a great hire, but this is a bigger thing than just sports. I mean, they are building a phenomenal school district, and Texas State's getting more involved. I can't wait to see the relationship between Coach Walsh and Coach Spavital, because I'm sure that Coach Spavital has probably recruited some of his players at some point, especially when he was at Texas A&M and West Virginia, because the Big 12 recruiting does a lot in Texas, especially Dallas-Fort Worth. So, I mean, we've talked about it so much, but I just wanted to say the district as a whole is doing a lot of good things. And this is just another example of how they're on the up and up. And this is a very competent and successful school board.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we talk about community a lot. I'm not talking about community like the TV show on NBC that was on for 6 seasons, but I'm talking about community as in love, support, be a family, togetherness. Those are huge themes that I don't even want to call it program. It's a community that tries to work together to be bigger than themselves and help each other out, which you don't see a lot in high schools, because you just don't see a lot of that. You don't see, like, I want to work with you, I want to help you. It's not about me, it's about us as a whole. It's very selfless, which is really unique to San Marcos and to San Marcos High School especially. And I'm very proud to say that I get to work with some really great individuals at San Marcos High School.
I 100% agree, Connor. And I guess the last thing I wanted to say was, I remember when I first met, like one of the first times I talked to Coach Pinchback and Coach Napoli, he told me, I think it was when me and Josh went and met them, like for the first time, because Coach Knapp came out at the end when we were doing the interview, and he was, all just himself the same way. He's like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" He's like, he's big time doing an interview now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Coach Knapp told us, he goes, you guys being here right now, we know that you're like real, because when this thing gets huge and when this thing blows up, you were here before all that. And like I'm saying, like I can see you smiling right now. Like I'm getting chills when I'm talking about this. Like we didn't understand like the gravity of what they were saying at the time, because they were, yeah.
I just realized something.
What's up?
You know how we were talking about like connections when we talked about Coach Napoli, how he played at Allen with Kyle Murray, and we talked about DeSoto and the connection with Coach Pinchback, and we talked about Coach Walsh now who'll be joining, then the connection between the three of them.
I'll be in Dallas, Fort Worth, yeah.
Well, there's another thing to this.
What's up?
Remember when Coach Pinchback was rumored that he was possibly leaving to go to DeSoto High School, and then he stayed. And of course, there was a few reasons he didn't specify what it was, because it was private with him. But I have a feeling getting Coach Walsh to come was one of the reasons he stayed. It just when you hear, I just think in my mind, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking Miss Presley or the principal were probably talking to him, saying, "Listen, we have something big coming down the pipeline,"
and you know it.
And I have a feeling.
He's the athletic director too, so he does the whole middle schools, everything.
I think there is a little bit of reasons why Coach Pinchback want to stay, besides building a great program. And I think he realized how good of a community this is. But it also helps when you have a legendary head coach in John Walsh coming in to be the athletic director and the head football coach of San Marcos.
I'm sure that was something else that he knew about that played into his decision. But what I would like to say, because I know Pinch will probably listen to this, and he'll probably listen to the full thing, and he just heard this. We know that you love us too. And he told us, he was like, y'all meant a lot to us, whatever we called. So I hope that, I think it's all, and that's another thing I was going to say. When we got those family shirts, man, dude, we're so, you're saying what?
Well, the shirts that we may or may not have gotten is
dude,
what you meant to say.
I don't care, dude. Nah, dude. Gage Sutton does not care if we talk about how we have
I'm
those
just messing
shirts.
with you.
I know. That's Deshaun Hartley. He doesn't have a shirt. He didn't.
No, he doesn't have a shirt. I can firmly agree.
At all.
Under the court of law, he doesn't have a shirt. I can say that.
He does not have a shirt.
Eyewitness
While
testimony.
I am talking on this podcast, Deshaun Hartley doesn't have a San Marcos High School shirt that says family on it. But anyways, point is, dude, the fact that like we are so lucky, like to be in, like we're so blessed to be in with this. Like when I look at that family shirt now, I'm like, dude, we're in. And like if we weren't there, we wouldn't be in. And it's now when he said like San Marcos is waiting to explode, dude, he knew in that conversation. And it's like you said, you just got real. I mean, and we're so excited to be a part of it and to cover it. And so for everybody, I know we have a lot of San Marcos High School listeners that will listen to this, whether it's parents, players, coaches even. And we just want to say thank you guys so much to you for what you do in supporting our endeavors. Like listening to my podcast, it means the world to me because this is something I'm trying to build up for a career. So the fact that I know that like Miss Gums, Coach Pinchback, Cannon, Caduce, all of you guys who listen, I mean, it really does mean the world to me. And also on top of the fact that you let us talk to your children or you let us interact with you if you're a player, and Coach Pinchback giving us the access he does. I mean, it's made me like fall in love with this high school, and I went to frickin' Hayes, which is their biggest rival. So
as Mark Ingram would say, thanks for all the trust.
For real. Thanks
for all the trust.
I wish I could come up with a Coach O quote right now, but I can't.
Go Tigers.
I can think of Joe Burrow. Told the media we're going to be scoring 50, 40, 60 points a game, and they laughed me off. That's how I feel how Coach Pinchback talked to us.
Goodness.
Anyways, any final thoughts, Connor, on KTSW chat number 4?
No, I mean, I echo every sentiment that you said. I'm very excited to be part of what San Marcos is trying to build. And the fact that like I've always talked about with Coach Pinchback, that he always said thank you to us. That was a privilege for us to come. Now, it's really been the other way around. It's been a privilege to get to know who he is as a person and know who these players are as young men. It's been, I mean, I'm getting a little teary. Why am I? Dude, it's real. I have to say, it's real.
This is going to be a fun year. I'm just going to say it. We're going to have sports. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I mean, aren't they?
Positivity.
Texas and California announced
it will be June. Safe, and we will have sports.
Yes.
Got to speak it into existence.
Yeah, the Roni's not messing with us when it comes to
Nah. The Roni ain't got nothing on Texas high school football. I tell you that. No. But anyways, yeah, man. I'm so glad we're in on this thing, and I'm so honored to be involved in a part of, the building of this monster in San Marcos, man. And with that being said, too, before you give your final thoughts here, Connor, I also wanted to say that this week, I think I'm still going to try to do a podcast where we get everybody together, but I wanted to get one out as this news came out because I doubt that anybody else is really going to be doing a podcast on this. Maybe Matt Stepp will do a podcast for Dave Campbell's Texas high school football, but I think that'll be in a later release. So I'm trying to saturate this market. You know what I'm saying? And also provide content to the people, Connor. We've got to feed the streets of San Marcos for their podcasts on athletics. But I think I'm going to try to do one of those so we can get everybody together.
I think the key to stop broking is catching early trends. So you're trying to catch the early trend before everyone else.
Dude.
I see what you're doing.
Dude, I'm like trying to hop on Instagram in like 2011 before it got big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except this time it's John Walsh.
I swear
talking about him on a podcast.
I swear, man, it's getting to the point where we're just quoting things like Mark Brown would. It's getting shout. If you don't listen to Mark Brown, he has the podcast The Lowdown.
Yes, listen to the lowdown. It's a ton of fun, and Mark is literally the next Stephen A. Smith, but in his own way.
Yeah, at least he is funnier.
Yeah, he's funnier, and he's probably a nicer guy too. Like Stephen A. Smith seems like a nice guy, but Mark's like one of the nicest people you'll meet.
Yeah, he's a real one. Watch out! I'm gonna call it now. He'll be on ESPN eventually.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he'll be
definitely.
Keep an eye on that man. He's
a
special guy.
Go listen to the lowdown for sure. Go follow all these people on Twitter. Coach Pinchback, San Marcos High School, San Marcos CISD, Connor MacKinnon. John Walsh, he actually has a fake John Walsh. He has a fake Twitter account. Somebody made a parody, but there's not an actual one. But Matt Stepp said, hey, he said he added the fake Twitter account, and he said go, because it's like a parody, like fake Jake Spavital.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's him. So, I mean, that's how big this guy is. He even has a parody Twitter account. But anyways, Matt Stepp added that, and he said, tell the real John Walsh to go eat at Herbert's Taco Hut. But I'm saying, John Walsh, if you've listened this far, go to Fuego. Fuego has the best tacos. Get the El Presidente. Connor, am I right?
Oh, yeah. You got me hooked on the El Presidente.
Tell the story.
Okay. So I remember we were going, I don't know where we were coming from, but I remember I was hungry and we're like, oh, wait, it was after one of the San Marcos High School games, right?
For basketball?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It was after the.
Everything ties in, bro.
No, yeah, I remember it was a game. Oh, God, New Braunfels.
At home?
No, it was away.
Oh, it was away when we drove together?
When we drove together.
I got you.
New Braunfels, and
God, that game was ridiculous.
It was crazy. Yeah, but we're hungry. I was like, I'm hungry too. He's like, well, we can go to El Fuego. I was like, El Fuego, I've heard of it.
It's just Fuego.
Sorry, man.
It's okay.
It's 11:20. It's 11:20.
No problem. You got it mixed up. It's the El Presidente. Continue.
No, I was talking about the taco place, isn't it? Is it just Fuego?
Yes, it's Fuego. It's Fuego, but the taco is El
Presidente.
Anyways, yes. Continue.
And he told me to get the El Presidente, and man, it was life-changing. I mean, the last time I was in San Marcos, when I went to pick up my stuff.
I need to go down and get it because they're open. They have a big sign. They're like 24 hours, dude, because they're drive-through. And so they can just because they have a drive-through and it's a big thing anyway. And now with the 25% capacity, people can go in regardless. But dude, I might have to go to shoot.
Like, what time is it?
Yeah, if they're still open 24 hours, I can go get it right now, bro.
I still remember when I ate your taco by accident, though. That was that's embarrassing.
Right. But it's fine, dude. It's fine. They're so good. Anyways, go to Fuego if you're from San Marcos. Shout out to my boy Matthew Bodie, valedictorian of Hayes High School.
Going to UT,
speech and debate state champion. Yes, he's going to UT, unfortunately.
I remember that.
No. Not unfortunately. I mean, like, horns down, but I'm super glad he's going to a great business school in McCombs. And more importantly, his other choice was Notre Dame. So I'm glad he's going to be in Austin because that kid's like my son. So I'm really glad he's staying close to home so I can still go hang out with him and be near him.
You just got sun, Matthew.
Nah, dude. Hey, he really is. No, that's like a thing on the speech and debate team over there, for real. But anyways, I've said final thoughts so many times, but for real now, Connor, any final thoughts?
I mean, I thought I've said my final thoughts like 2 times already, but
if you don't want to, I already said I've said it. But like this is the real ending. Did you think of anything else?
I mean, I'm just excited. I'm so excited.
All right, yeah, Connor MacKinnon.
I'm very happy. It sounds very sarcastic, but like I've said everything I need to say right now.
You resign. You retire.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into KTSW chat number 4. It's only me and Connor this time, but I'm really going to try to get everybody together to talk about this at some point. It may not be until like Saturday or something because I am going over to Amanda's for her sister's graduation celebration that they're throwing for her because Connor's got this. Anyways, look, it's really important to her. It was a big thing for her. So they're trying to be, good parents and family. And she's getting an actual graduation, which is pretty cool. But they're also throwing a party at her house, and they asked me to be there. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to support her because this is a rough time. It sucks she didn't get to walk the stage with all of this stuff going on. I know Connor has some things to say about this, and I may have some things to say about this, but that's not on air. And no, I really am. I'm there to support her, and I'm just, I'm happy that this is something that's no. I'm not actually lying on this. I'm being genuine. Like, I seriously, this is bad. I don't know why I brought this up. But, she
won't listen to this.
No. Amanda won't listen, and Grace will definitely not listen. But it's something that's super important to her. So I'm gonna be over there up in Round Rock on Wednesday, Thursday, not having my shirt, which is right here, my new mic. Yeah, so I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, but once I get back, I'm going to try to get everybody together. Maybe tomorrow we could get everybody together. I don't know if I'm going to wear out Deshaun too much to do 2 podcasts in one day. We'll see if he's got the endurance. I know he's been running sprints lately, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm just having a good time over here, man. I'm just living my best life. So I'm too much. I'm too much. I know that.
You're fine, bro. You're fine. Okay, for real. I'm seriously done after this. Any last thoughts?
No, for the third time, I think I'm good. Thank you for asking, but I'm very excited.
You're like, why are you still asking? Please end this. All right. We're gonna end it.
It's like the Irishman. It just keeps going. You're like, when is this gonna end? It's 3 hours and 30 minutes long.
I have some Irish listeners. I would like to say that. Shout out to you if you're listening from Ireland. And if you are listening, you probably have the McLaren last name. So shout out to you for being a long lost family member. This is what your family in America looks like. You can laugh at it. But anyways, for real. I am a little Irish, so that's, I talk.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing like we're giving shout outs to people in Ireland. Like, hey, shout out to the sponsors in Ireland.
Anyways, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up. It's 11:25. I don't know how long this was. Whenever this is up, thank you guys so much for listening, especially if you've listened this far. For myself and Connor MacKinnon, this has been KTSW Chat number 4, and we'll catch you guys next time, hopefully soon. Peace.